The rain hammered down in relentless sheets, turning the Seattle skyline into a hazy smear as Daniel Harper slogged his way home. His battered boots slapped through deepening puddles, each step heavy with fatigue. At 34, this single father carried burdens far beyond his years, mounting bills, the ever-present shadow of his daughter Lily's medical expenses, and a heart still raw from losing his wife 2 years earlier. Yet he kept moving forward, day after relentless day, because of Lily, his 8-year-old ray of sunshine whose laughter anchored him to hope even on the darkest nights. Tonight, though, exhaustion wrapped around him like the cold, wet air that seeped through the thin spots in his threadbare jacket. Across the city, Evelyn Winters, the 40-year-old billionaire founder of a cutting-edge tech empire, sat in the back of her polished Mercedes. Her mind churned through boardroom conflicts, plunging stock prices, and endless strategy sessions. She had built everything from scratch, turning ambition into billions, but the victory had come at the cost of isolation. Her heart remained locked behind high walls no one had ever scaled. As her driver eased through the rain-slicked streets, she scrolled through a flood of emails, detached from the world beyond the tinted windows, until a piercing screech of metal tore through the night. Daniel heard it too. A massive delivery truck, brakes gone, was hurtling down the steep hill toward the crowded intersection below. Adrenaline surged. Without a second thought, he broke into a run, legs screaming, gaze fixed on the woman stepping out of a luxury car directly in the truck's path, completely unaware. "Move!" he bellowed, voice hoarse with desperation. Evelyn froze mid-step. Her phone tumbled from her fingers as the blinding headlights swallowed her vision. In that split second, Daniel launched himself forward, tackling her to the wet pavement. His body curled protectively over hers as the truck thundered past, slamming into a steel lamppost with a bone-jarring crash of glass and twisted metal. They hit the ground hard. Rain poured over them both. Daniel's breath came in ragged bursts, blood already seeping from a gash on his forearm, but his first concern was her. "You okay?" he asked, voice calm despite the chaos swirling around them. Evelyn's heart slammed against her ribs. She nodded mutely, eyes wide with shock, and something deeper, something unfamiliar. For the first time in years, someone had looked at her not as a title, not as a fortune, but simply as a human being in danger. Gratitude flooded through her, raw and overwhelming. A crowd began to form, phones raised, recording the aftermath. Daniel helped her to her feet, brushing aside her stammered thanks with a small, self-conscious smile. "Anyone would have done it," he said quietly, already turning to walk away, his thoughts returning to Lily waiting at home with the babysitter. But Evelyn couldn't let the moment slip away. "Wait," she called, her voice unsteady in the downpour. "Who are you?" He paused, rain streaming off the brim of his worn cap. "Just Dan," he answered simply, then melted into the storm. The encounter haunted Evelyn. The next morning she mobilized her considerable resources to find him. Within hours she knew. Daniel Harper, auto mechanic, widower, raising an 8-year-old daughter with a serious chronic condition. That afternoon she stood outside his modest apartment building, her tailored coat and expensive heels absurdly out of place in the dim, peeling hallway. When Daniel opened the door, surprise flickered across his face, quickly replaced by caution. "Miss Winters, right? Why are you here? I owe you," she said, stepping past the threshold before he could protest. The apartment was small, sparsely furnished, yet warm, walls covered in Lily's colorful crayon drawings, framed photos capturing moments of joy from before grief had settled over the household. Evelyn felt something inside her chest tighten. She couldn't remember the last time she'd stepped into a space that felt so lived in, so full of heart. Over instant coffee at the chipped kitchen table, Daniel spoke, not complaining, not asking for pity, just quietly laying out the reality of their life, the endless appointments, the treatments insurance fought, the nights he barely slept worrying about tomorrow. Lily, small and pale but luminous with curiosity, peeked around the corner and shyly handed Evelyn a drawing of a bright yellow sun smiling over a little house. Evelyn, the woman who routinely closed multi-million-dollar deals without blinking, found herself undone by a child's simple gift. Days became weeks. Evelyn invented reasons to return, bags of groceries, offers to help with Lily's mounting medical bills. Daniel resisted at first, his pride a stubborn wall against charity, but her gentle persistence, her genuine presence, slowly eroded his defenses. Their conversations stretched longer each visit. Late evenings after Lily was asleep, they talked, really talked, about loss, about fear, about the quiet dreams they'd both buried under responsibility and armor. Evelyn marveled at Daniel's quiet strength, his fierce, selfless devotion to his daughter. Daniel looked past the private jets and penthouses and saw the woman who had clawed her way to the top, lonely and longing for something real, one rainy evening with Lily asleep down the hall. Evelyn's voice trembled as she spoke. "I've never met anyone like you, Dan. You didn't just save me from that truck. You reminded me what it feels like to be human." Daniel's pulse thundered in his ears. Slowly, he reached across the table and took her hand. "You're not what I expected either," he admitted, the smallest, most genuine smile breaking across his face. Their connection deepened, slow, careful, undeniable. Evelyn quietly arranged for the best specialists and a comprehensive treatment plan for Lily. But it was never just about money. It was the evenings she stayed to read bedtime stories in silly voices, the nights they laughed together over disastrously burnt attempts at dinner, the way she sat beside Lily during infusions and held her small hand without flinching. The turning point came in Lily's hospital room during a particularly difficult stay. Machines beeped softly. Rain tapped against the window. Evelyn, once so terrified of letting anyone close, looked at Daniel and Lily, her family now, in every way that mattered, and whispered, "I'm staying. I'm here for both of you. You're my family now." Tears slipped down her cheeks as Daniel drew her into his arms. Lily, weak but beaming, reached out to hold both their hands, completing the circle. In a world that so often feels cold and indifferent, their story quietly spread, a reminder that one act of courage, one moment of open-hearted kindness can ignite something extraordinary. Daniel's bravery and Evelyn's awakening proved that even in the heaviest downpour, the human capacity for love can shine brightest of all.